Alright, so last night, February 15th, that was the coldest night in Texas for Arctic, this Arctic front. It got down to 12 degrees, and that cold was something else. I slept in this Walmart parking lot through it, and all my water froze. Um, yeah, February 15th. Actually, the night of February 14th was the snow. And the snow and cold came February 14th, covering my car in this glaze of ice. And I stayed both nights, the February 14th and the February 15th, in Liberty. And they were rough. When I was in Cleveland, that was when the cop stopped me at the Walmart, stopped at my car at the Walmart, and told me that it was going to be 10 degrees. I didn't really think much of it, but I was a little concerned because I pay attention to Williston a little closer than I care to, and their temperatures, because I have a criminal court hearing coming up on February 22nd, and I saw the temperatures were really cold like about a week, a little less than a week before the cold hit Texas. It was getting below zero at nights, negative 20s or something, really cold. And it took a long time for that cold to blow south, straight south into Texas, and slightly warm up on its way. And if you look at the weather map, the weather pattern, it's interesting how the cold is only focused on the center portions of the U.S. And I think it's because of the mountains. These mountains here, the Daniel Boone National Forest, these mountains on the east side, and then definitely the mountains on the west side, they like contain that cold, so it just blew straight south and really didn't hit the edges. This cold was a surprise. I thought Texans handled it pretty good. They seemed many seemed to enjoy it, but the Walmart had to limit its hours at Liberty from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. But even with that written, they wrote it right on the front doors. They wrote the limited hours, but even writing it, it still wasn't. It still didn't open at 8 a.m. They had to wait a couple more hours to open up. That was just a guess. And after spending a couple days in Liberty and warming up now more and being more tolerable, not really, not so much snow hitting, I decided to move further south to the next Walmart, but this one is closed. It's closed indefinitely. And the Ross, I think there's a Ross next to it. Oh yeah, it's not the building is actually there, but the Google Maps hasn't taken a picture of it. It was closed as well. I checked for Wi-Fi. This Walmart actually doesn't have Wi-Fi when I checked just today, February 16th. So they were maybe hit by the electrical power outage, and the news says that it's the southeast portions of Houston plus Galveston. Galveston is the center. Let me just say on a side note, Galveston is the center for commissioner-style government because of the the flooding. They had to design a government to be able to act quickly without any community input. The government just works top down. This, I believe, Galveston was the beginnings of the commissioner-style government that Williston, North Dakota, is enjoying very much still, living under with their oil boom. But Galveston, the city hit by this power outage. They're suffering great power outage. But it's not just them. I mean, there's a lot of spotty news going on that's circulating as best it can, I guess, under the circumstances of reduced electrical power. I saw firsthand that the Walmart is closed. Here I had it marked. And I just didn't want to stay, because if it's closed indefinitely and the Wi-Fi didn't even work. I stood right outside the door of that Walmart and the Wi-Fi didn't work. So I headed straight east. I went through Texas last year and there was just absolutely no problems with any cold chill. I believe about this time last year I was in San Antonio. Too bad these little dots, when I mark them, don't have dates. Dates when I mark them. That would be kind of helpful, so I have an idea. Like, you marked it on this date. But that's asking a little too much. No. I visited. Okay, there it is. I visited February 2020. So, yeah, this time of year. What about further north? Let's you get a better. So that's what I thought. I was in between San Antonio and Austin about this time of year. If I click on this one, this Walmart, because Walmarts are usually star, it would say I visited February 2020. Okay. I'm looking for like March. Okay, it has a nice rough estimate for the month. Was I in Austin in March last year? Let's see. Maybe I didn't stop at this one. Okay, I mark them sometimes, don't visit them. I visited February 2020. Okay, so I was in about Austin during this time of year, and there were no problems with the cold front. That cold front doesn't happen every year. It's every few years it just comes rolling down and puts it. Well, this is the biggest chill in decades, apparently, according to historical accounts. Okay, I visited March 2020, just north of Austin. And I spent some time in Austin checking it out. There's no way I could do it to really check out Austin this year like I did last year. Partly because of COVID, partly because of the cold too. Cold COVID. Those combine to make quite a challenge for exploration now. And I didn't even bother checking out Houston. But yeah, they say in the news about 3 million people in Austin have no power. So I'm seeing on the TikTok, people are uploading videos about dealing with the severe cold. And oh boy, do I feel sorry for them. People that have no experience with the cold, they got to deal with it, not knowing how to handle it, not having any experience with it, and just not being prepared properly. I am prepared. I slept out of my car February 15th the night, February 14th and February 15th, two of the coldest nights where the wind blew through, really cold. And did okay. I actually had heat packs too, so I actually opened up the hand warmer heat packs, the 8 hour heat packs, for last night, and that just kept them in my pockets, and that helped. I don't even know if I really needed the heat pack so much though. I think I would have suffered a little bit more. But I could have survived without the heat pack. So that was a comfort thing, a decision based on more comfort, just to be extra sure that I get through it. I'm not so afraid of tonight. It's only going to be just below freezing. But those nights were pretty rough dealing with them. There's just the freezing of my water is a surprise how much things got so frozen from that cold. It really it's amazing that but the thing is that the ground doesn't freeze so much. The ground was warm. It was 70 degrees a couple of days before this cold chill blew from the north across the landscape. It was like 70 degrees, and then the cold just rushes in with the heavy winds and the heavy cold, severe cold, but the ground never really froze. So it was a Texas cold, not so much a deep freeze where there's a permafrost of 5 feet in North Dakota, permafrost of 8 feet in Wisconsin, North Wisconsin. It was just a cold air blast, not really cold coming in at and also accompanying the deep freeze already in place. There was no deep freeze. The Texans still keep the water on. And in fact, I was in a park in Liberty, and they turned the water on in this little park. I went back and forth a couple of times to this municipal park. They had the water on, and I turned it off. And I made a little recording of that. I was like, these crazy people, they have the water running. I'll turn it off, help them save some money. And then I saw another one on, and I'm like, wait a second, this must be for the severe cold. So I turned it back on. I hope I didn't turn it on as strong as they had it before. But yeah, I hope that worked. There's video and imagery coming out of Texans with their burst pipes in their houses, and how they're dealing with that. That's tough. This was a bit of a surprise. You had to pay attention to how cold it got in North Dakota, and I saw it, and all I could do was just chuckle to myself, thinking that these guys are really getting hit hard. But even I didn't really give much thought to how much that cold was sweeping its way down to Texas. But it's something that happens every few years, so you don't really. It's really not something that you think about all the time. It was a bit of a shock, even for me being a northerner. It's a bit of a shock. I'm prepared a little bit more. Sleep in my car in the cold weather, but it's like you wait until it hits, and then you react, and it's hard to envision how bad it can get until it gets bad. So that's my take.